All right, Marfoogle. Oh, that's right. We're going live in 3, 2, 1. All right, guys. So we have had a change of heart. I actually have to read a quick announcement before we get started. Again, we have now changed our name from Marfoogle TV to New. Is that right? New China Net Walk. And I just wanted to say I am not under duress. I just have a small list here. I'm not under any duress. And I have said some pretty nasty things about the government of China. I love my life and my family. And I just wanted to say they are great. Apparently, I wanted to point out that they got the short stick on the national endowment figures. And also, they are the most advanced country in the world. They're far greater than the US in every way. And from now on, I'm going to think about my choice of words with China. And I'm going to make sure that I'm doing my best to not get things wrong. We'll be right back after our bumper here at New China Net Walk. Is that okay? Okay. We'll be right back. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We've got a lot to get into, so without further ado, let's get into it. A Chinese official's use of ChatGPT accidentally revealed a global intimidation operation. Now, again, the intro is in jest, but it is no joke. We actually noticed, we had some things happen a few years ago. Obviously, we have not, chosen our words greatly. If you're looking at this story and actually reading between the lines here, of course, we know that there's a 1 million-man army in that country that essentially watch over the whole narrative of their country. We know that journalists have had been affected by this. This is specifically talking about Chinese dissidents. It says that a sprawling Chinese influence operation accidentally revealed by a Chinese law enforcement official's use of ChatGPT focused on intimidating Chinese dissidents abroad, including by impersonating U.S. immigration officials, according to a new report from ChatGPT maker OpenAI. It says that the Chinese law enforcement official used ChatGPT like a diary to document the alleged covert campaign of suppression. It said in one case, the Chinese operators allegedly disguised themselves as U.S. immigration officials to warn a U.S.-based Chinese dissident that their public statements had supposedly broken the law. It says, according to the ChatGPT user, in another case, they describe an effort to use forged documents from a U.S. county court to try to get a Chinese dissident's social media account taken down. Now, that's the part that I really want to just reiterate. So through CV, through a lot of things that were going on, obviously there were a lot of false things said around 2019 all the way to 23. And most of it wasn't by the independent media. But again, even independent media, said a lot of stuff. I mean, people were just making up things left and right. On top of the already craziness of what was happening, a lot of people were pointing it in a certain direction. Now, that narrative was not approved of by that country. In fact, that whole time, there was an actual public push, and there was people in our government that were trying to essentially divert people around from even thinking that was, happening. Mind you, a lot of people, and I'm not saying that this is true, but a lot of people's opinion is that was actually the start of a World War III, that it may have been part of something much, much bigger. And then you fast forward into what is happening, you can see one country that is involved in almost all of these. Now, as somebody on social media, you guys remember back in 2022, 2023, we would have 10,000, we had 17,000 people watching live. We did about 2 shows very specifically about what was going on, and it was a certain thing, and it was like all of a sudden, Discord gone. All of these things just kind of piled up, and it was under the last administration. It was like boom, 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 one thing after another. Meanwhile, again, there are others that again popped out of nowhere that have absolute ties to freaking government agents and even pictures with the presidents. They're supposedly the independent media now. They're supposedly the low down and on a computer guy. I honestly don't get that people don't see this, but when you're over the target, you often do not get the views. You don't get those things. People think that we're doing fear mongering because we're doing it for views. We have the same views that we've had for years. And it is because a loyal audience that keeps coming back, that they understand the more you watch of this show, and this isn't a credit to me, this is a credit to the community. It's a credit to the people in the chat. It's a credit to Dex. It's a credit to the mods. The more you are watching these patterns, and all you have to do, it's very simple, is just question everything. And you will start seeing the patterns, and you'll start seeing the reaction. You'll start seeing what they say, and then we go, hey, I wonder what's going to happen in a week. And then in a week, they completely change their story. And then you go, mark down. I told you last week, it's kind of like, if a guy comes up to you and a coworker says, hey, can I borrow $20? I'll pay you back on payday. That payday comes, he never pays you back. Then the next week, he says, hey, can I borrow $10? I'll pay you back on payday. And then he doesn't pay you back. What are you going to do? You're going to start thinking, I don't want to loan this guy $20 because he's not telling the truth. Well, you see his pattern and you go, this guy's not going to give me my money back. Well, with the news, it's the very same thing. We're seeing these patterns and we're going, okay, this is how the White House announces this. They say, we're probably going to do this in this amount of time. And then you go, well, every other time they do this, it's usually 72 hours, not 24 hours. There's patterns there all over the place. And we're not talking about Da Vinci Code. We're talking about common sense. So it is very, very crazy that right now, the more and more that comes out, this is only verifying what we were saying a long time ago. And I do want to tell you guys, just like others have said that you were the army or you're the warriors, whatever Jones called his folks. It is true, because without sharing, without you guys getting us out there, we're not going to get out there. So you guys are the freaking warriors, okay? You sharing with friends and family, and not just our show, but anybody you're watching that is telling what is actually going on. And I believe that, there's quite a few of us that know and kind of see this happening. But there's, again, a lot less people that are actually taking the effort to share all of these people out. We have to change minds about this, because honestly, if people aren't prepared by the time this craziness happens, we're all going to be in trouble. All right, before we get started, thank you so much, Rocky Amherst. Thank you, and thank you for the support, early support right in the show. Again, thank you. It looks like 2 supers. Thank you so much again for supporting the show. Thank you, mods, for popping in, and thank you for being here already. High-Tech Computers LLC. I love the new China NetWalk. Happy birthday, Dex James. Hey, they remembered. Hey, thank you guys, and I appreciate that, and I'm sure he'll be thanking you in a second. Let's bring in my co/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So I wanted you to add to this. So when he was using ChatGPT, obviously these guys have a network. Anybody that is kind of speaking against China, especially people that live there that are saying stuff against them, they're the ones who get targeted first, at least with these guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, they go after because they're going after the people that are dissenting views with inside knowledge, right? So I'm assuming that's, they're going after somebody's social media. They're probably posting things that are detrimental to, the vision or the view that they want out there, and it's coming from somebody who has knowledge of it, not just somebody's random opinion, right?
Well, who are you going to trust on what is actually happening in China? Me or somebody that's actually just come from there? Probably them. So priority-wise, I bet they would be looking at the person that's saying it. You know what I think is interesting, Dex? That this is being said, this is being done just about 3 weeks after what happened with the generals. And if you guys don't know why a lot of that came out, there is, I believe, an independent journalist. I don't know her full story. We've covered her before. But I believe it's a woman that actually left China, and she essentially knows a lot of information. Even if she doesn't, she is very good at communicating crazy things that are possibly happening in China. And she was on Twitter pushing all of that. And we actually covered it at about 24 hours before a lot of the mainstream media, because Twitter is actually ahead. The problem with Twitter, though, is sometimes by 24 hours, you find out that there's some hole in the story. So that's why it's kind of a risky area to even cover it. That's why we're always careful covering the stuff that's breaking on Twitter. But that one ended up being very accurate. At least it's accurate that 5 of his closest people were axed, right? And they're not coming back. So, this is something big is happening in China. And I think it is very interesting that now they're pointing out that this network is going after specific people that are telling bad things about them. We also have covered stories over the years. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I don't know if, I'm not going to say the newspaper name, but it's one of the legacy newspapers. I don't want to say it because I don't want to have the wrong one sue me or something. But one of them had to remove stories. Dex, do you remember this? They had to remove stories because essentially they found out that China had paid them to speak positively about the Spratly Islands. Now that was when the Spratly Islands were still like a mound of dirt. They were like, no, it's just environmental. They're looking for oil and they're just trying to save the planet. When people like us were all saying, a year before mainstream media caught them, a year before 2020 was flying a plane over, yeah, it looks like they're telling us to leave. They're saying that we're going to shoot us down if we go over this save the planet thing down there. We were saying they're building a freaking airport. Are you guys idiots? A year before everybody. And I'm saying not myself, but everybody in this community were like, that's a freaking airport. But do you remember how that all went down? It's just crazy. They have the power to essentially, and they were paying newspapers, they were paying legacy media to say positive things. How many negative things do you actually hear about them? Sorry, I must have muted you there, Dex. Thank you, Frank Walls. Happy birthday, Dex. I appreciate that. Tay Wei, I appreciate that as well. Thank you for the support. As far as the Spratly Islands story and all of these other ones, it was like there was a narrative. There was a debate. There was a debate whether these were militarized islands. By the way, our community got it right. Everybody's community got it right. They're militarized. They're essentially forward operating bases. You go through the archive of our old shows. It's actually pretty fun because you can go and look at our current view and look at the chat and like think, see what people were thinking back then. Like, oh, I wonder what that is. You'll see people that obviously saw right through the BS. And this was months, a year before anybody knew what things were. We're talking about CV, you're talking about Spratly Islands, you're talking about, fractures in NATO, like all of these different things that we saw coming. It was because there was something wrong with the delivery. Humans have a natural detector. So it's very funny to go back on that kind of stuff. All right, and then Dex, sowing chaos, Putin flooding Europe with migrants through secret Hamas-style tunnels. What's up with that?
Wow, this is kind of crazy. So, as they call him, the raving Russian leader, but he is using his puppet state, meaning Belarus, to send migrants into the EU. And as they call it, a pathetic play to sow chaos in the West. So there's a whole bunch of these tunnels. One of the largest was used by 180 people, but they literally go under the border and they're crawlable. You can see in the image there that they showed like far they are, how long they are, 50 meters, 10 meters, and maybe a meter and a half tall. So what's that, like 4 feet tall? So you're pretty much just hunched over. But Kremlin controlled dictator Alexander Lukashenko is using mysterious Middle Eastern specialists to burrow under his country's western border, according to Polish officials. So they told the news about that. He said he tried smuggling tens of thousands of migrants into Poland, primarily from Afghanistan and Pakistan. It's part of Mad Vlad's effort to destabilize the Western coalition. And mind you, Poland is one of the countries that did not take very many of the migrants into their country at all, and they bragged about that. So for him to do that, it's obviously going straight into what that he suggested or they suggested they weren't doing. So
Dex, what do you believe about this? Like your personal opinion on this? Do you think that this is propaganda, or what do you think was going on with this?
Well, it's coming from Poland's side, but I do know that Poland, has had a really big, push against not taking in anybody. So it kind of goes against their what they were doing. So if it's happening, then maybe there's some truth to it. But it seems far-fetched as a tactic of war, but maybe not.
So, and this is why it is very helpful to have this many people in one place that are looking at a story like this. Does anybody else have any thoughts about this? Let me know in the comments down below. And that we really do mean that, because sometimes you guys catch something, one person out of 2,000 will go, hey, whoa, oh, do you notice how they said that? And then it ends up, once somebody expands on it, then everybody goes, oh, and then people see more and more and more. It's sort of like the internet detectives that look at some of these, crimes in real life, but they're digging through the evidence online. They've actually solved some pretty crazy crimes just with collective thinking. So with this, I wonder what is happening with this. Is there some sort of more nefarious reasoning behind why all that was going on? Thank you, Farm Girl. Thank you for the super, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Says, thanks for being you. Hey, thank you. And then Kim Seal, thank you. Thank you for joining the fam. I appreciate that. Just got a badge and is now officially Foogle fam. All right, and then Olga Turan, thank you so much as well for the super sticker. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right, and then if you didn't watch the news story, I am losing my voice a little bit, so thanks for your patience and listening to it. All right, and then we have Iran ready to spill American red stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. The stuff, in the stakes, even at a huge cost. Dex, do you want to talk about this and why this is, a pretty crazy headline here?
Well, yeah, so they're saying that, from his secret bunker, the Israeli missiles were raining down on Tehran. Iran's supreme leader issued instructions he had never given before to prepare for his succession. Now, it's ironic because that was back when they were getting bombed, but now he just named his successor. Or was it yesterday we reported it? So, things are getting very heated up, and they know the writing is on the wall. So with the threats of a decapitation strike hanging over him, the Ayatollah Khomeini drew up a secret list of 3 clerics who could take his place, and he told his assembly of experts to choose from between them if he was taken out. Again, that's what happened last time. So, but I think the main point here is that we're at a position, and they're at a position where they are, not going to give in to the demands. And that really just means that we as in the US is going to have to either uphold its position and go in and strike and do something to prevent them from having nuclear weapons, as they're saying, which I really think is just the cover. It's kind of like the narco story for Venezuela. It's like, oh, it's all about getting the stopping the drugs from Venezuela. We got to take out the head of the cartel there, which happens to be the president, Maduro. When in reality, it's really just taking Venezuela away from China and Russia. So while we have our president Trump and others saying it's all about the nukes, we got to get them to stop, building nukes or wanting to build nukes. The real truth here is it's about getting to this point where they can get the government to be overthrown by the people that are protesting and rising up. And when you roll in with all of our equipment, it's real easy to see those mass thousands and thousands of people, or even millions of people in the streets, rising up to come after their leadership, especially if they're diminished in a way that they can't even defend themselves.
So that exact narrative, I do see articles that and op-eds, some very smart people saying that it is exactly that. I do have my questions about, with this, of course, if he's doing this is kind of like him saying, over my cold, unalived body, right? They're not giving up their ballistic missile program. They're not giving up True Promise 3. They're not going to be like, yeah, Israel, you win. You guys are awesome. We're missiles, put those away. We don't need those. That's Israel right there. That's not going to happen. He is now setting up 4 layers. He's basically like, if I get taken out, my buddy gets taken out, he gets taken out, and then that dude has a heart attack when he finds out that all of us got taken out. We have a plan even after that. That's what he's saying. So they are saying to the death. This is not good news. And the reason why it's coming out today, I'm sure they wouldn't want to do this 2 months before the thing so they can find out where all of these people are. If he is, and they didn't put it publicly. They're basically saying, we've picked these 4 people. We don't know if U.S. intelligence knows. I'm sure they probably have a good idea, but they have backups now. And they say he's in a bunker. Again, this is what's coming out. That was out of CNN, right? I think that was out of CNN. Was that CNN? Oh no, that was the other story. It was from the Sun. So equal, right? So as far as this goes, it's getting crazy. But with all the military that's over there, with all of the C-17 Globemasters, with all of the jet, we just sent 12 more F-22s on top of the 24 plus ships, 2 carriers, tens and tens and tens of thousands of troops. Who knows how many troops were actually in those C-17s too. Those can fit a ton of troops in them. Or they can fit tanks, they can fit this. And then again, you also have China on the other end loading up their cargo ships going there. They're saying that they possibly sold them or are selling them hypersonic missiles that could essentially take out our carriers. For the people that go, yeah, their missiles could never take us out. Pete Hegseth, our freaking Department of War guy, he said they actually can if they have China's technology. They're worried about China taking out our ships in as little as 20 minutes. So they're trying to have a solution to that. They're trying to make a solution. And hence, I bet that squad thought of, the Golden Dome. So, everything that we're seeing is a reaction to something they found out when they came in office this time. I think that the first time, and this is my personal opinion, I think when he came in, obviously it's just this huge mess of division, and everybody hates him because of this, hates him because of that. They hate him just because of who he is. But the first time coming into the presidency, he wasn't a politician. He didn't know nothing. He trusted everybody. He shook everybody's hand. 2 weeks later, like, that guy's a jerk. He's a total traitor, and then fired him. It was such a mess the first time around. Even though people liked him, it was just crazy. Guy after guy getting fired. And that showed us that he was trusting everybody and then realizing every single politician in this country is freaking wicked. So this time around, I think that they had time to set up. They had time to set up plans with the right people. Everything that you see him doing, the ICE stuff, the border stuff, the Maduro stuff, taking out the oil, going after Cuba. This, I believe, is our preemptive attack to stop World War III. And I'm not saying it's going to work, but it's kind of crazy. Marf is saying that this is attempts to stop World War III. And I'm kind of rooting for it. Obviously, I don't want World War III to happen. But right now, it is in full bore right now. This is a domino that could fall really fast. And in all seriousness, I hope over the 5, 6, 7 years that you guys have been watching, I hope that you guys have gotten prepared. Speaking of getting prepared, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. This affiliate and all of our others, we have a reason for each one of them. This one is so you can be protected against an EMP blast or a Carrington level event from the sun. This is the same tech that not only is in the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, EMP Resilience Report, Department of War, Department of Homeland Security, FBI, Air Force is using this technology in this company. So make sure to go check it out, marfuglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF. This is easily put in any of your vehicles. In less than 10 minutes, you can, of course, get ones for your generators, your trucks, motorcycles, boats, ham radios, Starlink systems, pretty much anything you can think of, they have a version for it. You get $50 off with our code, and that stacks on top of any sale, and it stacks on top of other devices. So car, truck, motorcycle, generator, whatever combo you want to do, there is a combo for it. marfuglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to go and use that code MARF. All right, let's see here. Thank you, Olga Turan. Again, thank you, Kim Seal and Farm Girl. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. All right, and then NATO's falling behind in a race to build icebreakers, critical tools for a war in the Arctic. We've covered this for years. Obviously, Russia, I think Russia, Dex, is Russia the leader in icebreakers? I feel like Russia's first, and China might even be ahead of us. We have like two.
They probably are.
Doesn't Russia have it's kind of like looking at how many carriers we have compared to China, right? They're like, we have 11 carriers. They have 3. With icebreakers, it's reverse. And it kind of makes sense that they would be looking at Greenland and looking at the Arctic channels because, well, the U.S. and other countries might not be able to traverse there. And if they have hypersonic missiles, and if we don't have proper defense, so something set up to actually intercept from Greenland, then this could really turn out to be a smart strategic move on Russia and China's end if they were to ever attack the U.S. It's crazy that they all agreed that Greenland, they said, we don't need America to have Greenland, but we do agree the president's got points. What are the points? Why aren't they telling the public what is going on with China, Russia, and Greenland? Why do they, there's some reason here. Obviously, what they're not telling us, the civilians, they don't want us to panic. This is my opinion. They see that there is going to be an attack on us. It makes sense. It makes logical sense why everything is happening, why they're using intelligence-guided facial recognition to target very, very specific people. On top of all the people that came over illegally, they are getting those people that came over legally for specific reasons, and they are laser targeting them, trying to get them. Why? Are they sleepers? Well, look at what is happening. Dex, as far as icebreakers, this could set them apart. This could literally give them a huge advantage.
Yeah, certainly. I think they have between over 40 and some as high as 50 icebreakers. And that puts them in the lead. They are the most. Canada being next and the U.S. being third, according to, it's probably old data I'm looking at. But yeah, no, 2025 it says, or 2022. So, but yeah, they've been trying to open up that shipping lane for China to come across the Arctic in the north. So I think that's part of it, but it's also a huge investment from the military standpoint to have the bases on the ice and the other things that they're investing in the Arctic territory. So the closer they can launch from the Arctic against us, then the faster they can strike our land. So that's a key consideration as well.
I think it's interesting that obviously we have Canada mentioned there as well. They have a lot of icebreakers. That would be a good ally if you were going to have an Arctic battle there. If you infiltrated Canada well enough, and I have nothing. You guys, I love my Canadians up there. In fact, some of my oldest subscribers, like number 8, number 13, number 18, number 6, they still come into the show all the time. Some of them have been around longer than our longest running mod. But those folks are awesome up there. But there's something going on in your country that is not right. I showed you guys this, obviously, Canada opening it up for 10-year veterans of the PLA. Now, they're not saying just PLA, they're saying foreign militaries. This is opening a door for a Red Dawn kind of scenario where in the next 6 months or to a year, you have officers that serve 10 years under the Chinese military because they literally list in the examples that PLA, ex-PLA could literally apply from China, come over to Canada and freaking serve in their military. The only debunk that every ChatGPT, and it almost seems like they wrote a written script, is, oh, well, it's very unlikely that we would have, Chinese running the Canadian military. Well, and it says because the promotion process is long and they have background checks and they have this. Well, if a country is compromised, if they are secretly working, or if you guys have government that are working with them, then it doesn't matter if there's security checks. We're talking about a world that organized something so horrendous and so shady that we're still reeling from it. We were, kept in our houses from it, and everybody understood that it was wrong, but yet people still accept that it just happened, right? As far as this goes, they signed a specific new treaty with them, a new, in-depth partnership with them, a new strategic partnership. They did a actual exercise fighting the U.S. off with guerrilla-style tactics. Again, and then this was the part. Canada is actively recruiting highly skilled foreign military members. People, oh, it's just doctors. No, it's doctors, pilots. Why would they want PLA pilots to come work for them? Why? Then if they are spying for China, which is known for their infiltration process, they would be learning U.S. tactics from the U.S. forces that are training Canada's pilots. It's part of our program. Like, why? But again, there was also the piece in early 2026. Reports emerged that the Canadian Armed Forces modeled a hypothetical U.S. military invasion, marking the first time in nearly 100 years that Canada has formally planned for such a scenario. Again, what? Now people go, oh, well, because they were talking about 51st state. That still doesn't. In their country, they did the same thing they did here, the same thing they did in all of these other countries, which I think was spurred by a singular country. Oh, it wasn't you? Oh, never. It was not them. You're going to let them go after this, right? It was not China. It was another place. You happy? It was not them. And I think they spurred on this entire thing. That's a big claim and a big statement. And, I guess catch me on Twitter when I'm gone. But all of these playbooks, the left versus right, the stuff that a lot of, and I'm telling you, I'm sure a lot of us have fallen into it. I'm sure some of you unknowingly have hatred towards other people. And just saying, it might be spurred by years and years of psychological warfare done onto you that made you think that there's this guy and that guy in every single country. It's just wild. Just go look it up. Go look up any country and then say, this Canada is their Trump. They've done it in every country and it worked like a charm. They had protests in every country that mimicked ours here in the United States. It was too good. It was like CIA came up with the playbook and they're like, hey, hand this out at the next, at the next Davos. We're going to do this global. They had a lisp too. Yeah, it's just nuts. It's all over. And then Bill Gates admits that he had 2 affairs with Russian women, apologized to the staff over the EpiPen ties. Dex, this kind of seems to me like they're going the route, the PR team is like, we can't do anything about this. But what you could do is you could come at it at the angle like, yes, I didn't do any of that gross stuff. No, but I did cheat. I'm a total a-hole, but I'm not that a-hole, right? And then people go, oh, that's understand. It's relatable. Relate him to normal people, even though he's a trillionaire. What do you think about this, Dex?
Exactly. Well, look, he said he had 2 affairs with Russian women. That could also still be true if they were prostitutes, which I think was one of the things they said.
What about their ages?
Yeah. So, but he told staffers at his foundation on Tuesday that he flew on a private plane with the disgraced financier and spent time with him in the U.S. and abroad, but didn't participate in any crime, according to the news outlet. So he says, "I did not elicit. I saw nothing illicit." Gates said in the town hall meeting. To be clear, I never spent any time with the victims, the women around him.
And he was stupid enough to take a picture with them?
Yeah.
Is he? And he's...
I mean, one of those pictures...
He's the guy running...
Looks like a hotel room, right? Like the one below that one that you're showing. They're in a hotel room.
Have you seen the video? The people, like, the collage of people like, we have hope. This guy's going to save the planet. Hey, Nastasha, let's take selfie in front of a moving cart. Like, what? You're the most recognizable man in the planet. Let's sit in the lobby of a giant motel and take a picture. And she's almost wearing like a schoolgirl outfit. I don't know. Those are the people that are running it. Revealed the contents of EpiPen's secret storage locker. Dex, do you want to go over the contents?
Okay, so apparently there's these secret storage lockers that were around the country, I guess, or in different locations. But a secret storage locker rented by Jeffrey contained computers, videotapes, manuals, and photographs, inappropriate photographs. So earlier this week, the private detectives had removed the items from his Florida property in an apparent attempt to hide them from investigators ahead of the police raid back in 2005. They were kept in a nearby storage facility in Palm Beach for several years while police investigated him. So the unit was rented on Epstein's behalf by Riley Corrali, the detective agency, and one of at least 6 storage lockers leased by him. 6. So he said 6 of these. That's a lot of stuff stored in storage lockers. So an inventory of the secret Palm Beach lockup obtained by the media there showed that the stashed items included 3 computers, 29 address books, and 3-page lists of masseuses in Florida, among other things.
Oh my gosh. Courtly James says Storage Wars needs to do a hunt for the EpiPen storage lockers. That would be a good TV show. Yeah, they open one up and it's like all, Teletubby merch. I don't know. I think that might not go over too well. And then, by the way, did any of you see the interview? Most of people haven't actually heard his voice. I'm sure most of you have. Were any of you surprised that he did not sound like the person you thought he sounded? I thought he was going to sound like the guy from Don't Look Up, the astronaut guy with the huge face that I think he even plays Hellboy in one of the movies. The dude that just has the face, the head, just a giant head. I thought he was going to sound like that. He sounds like Woody Allen. I was totally blown away. You know where somebody looks like they sound one way and then you hear them and you're like, what? So yeah, it's crazy how much stuff is coming out about this. Why does it just keep coming out though? And then Cuban forces open fire on U.S. vessel, taking 4 and sparking invasion fears. Dex, whether this was spurred on by them or we baited them into it or something happened or they're defending themselves. I mean, this looks like a perfect thing to just kick off a whole big escalation.
Certainly. Now, we've only got one. We have a side of the story, which is Cuba's side. So Cuba's come out and said, hey, those people on the boat fired at us first and they wounded one of our commanders. So we fired back and then we took them all, which makes them look innocent, at least them being Cuba looking innocent. They were just defending themselves. But we don't know if that's the right story. We don't know anything here. All we know is that this boat, now they say, again, coming from the Cuban side, that the vessel was there to try to help get some people out off of the island. It was part of a flotilla, as they call them, to get relatives out of Cuba. But that the vessel was, I guess, being tracked by the Cuban ministry or whatever group, the border guard troops or something, that had tried to pull up to them, and that's when they fired on them, is the story Cuba is giving. So, but yeah, it's definitely going to get the attention right now. that of a lot of people. It's a major headline when you think about it. U.S. boat being struck by Cuban authorities or military, however you want to phrase it. That's a big deal. And certainly with everything else going on with Cuba, it's probably not the best opportunity for them to be firing off rounds into U.S. vessels, to be honest.
Somebody says, no one is attacking you. No, I didn't say somebody is attacking me. I said somebody is attacking the U.S., and that is exactly what we just covered. Cuba they are literally saying that they took shots and took lives. I mean, usually you see stuff like this, it's a shot over the bow, or, they fired towards them and, it was de-escalated. No, 4 people lost their lives, and 6 people, including a couple, I believe, may not keep their life after critical condition. So, yeah, this is the kind of event that we will read in history books, and something like this then can trigger a domino effect, and everything else happens. Look at World War I, look at World War II. Every event that happened, it was like this chain of things that happened. World War II, specifically, you have so many different similarities where you've got these repeating histories, repeating things happening. It's just nuts. And then Funny Doers International, thank you so much. D Dragon, thank you so much. Tomba, WIS Gen, Guns and Water, thank you guys for again making it to the show. It looks like we have some new subscribers too. Hey, thank you, Barry Nicholson. Thank you for joining the fam. Tayway, thank you so much as well for supporting. Frank Walls, thank you for super chatting. Again, happy birthday, Dex. Rocky Amherst, thank you again. And then a new subscriber, Richard720. Jennifer, thank you for subscribing. Conrad, thank you. Cynthia, thank you. And Hobbs Bobo, thank you so much. And Joshua Sullivan, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate everybody, again, that does that. And then real quick, make sure to go check out Jace if you haven't already. If you don't have antibiotics on hand, this is a great service where you get them delivered to your door in a handy kit that can go anywhere with you. You can put them in your truck, you can put them in your car, you can put them in your closet, you can put them in your bunker, doesn't matter where, at your cabin. Again, this is a kit with commonly prescribed antibiotics, so if something happens, you have them on hand. In a lot of natural disasters, people have been separated from the hospital. We just depend on our system to work and an ambulance to pick us up in an emergency or a helicopter to come get us. Well, in some situations, even if there's a helicopter to come get us, there's no hospital to go to. Look at Katrina, look at the people that perished because there was no helicopter coming. There was no ambulance coming. So this is definitely a great thing to have on hand. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jace, especially if you are, somebody who thinks like me. If you look at what's happening with China, they make 90%. This is a fact. 90% of all of our antibiotics. They make 97% of the active pharmaceutical ingredients that are used to make them. It is the stupidest partnership. I don't know what happened there. Again, it's the stupidest thing. We all agree on it. And then, I'm sorry. I don't agree on that anymore. I do not think that. I think it's a great partnership. It is a very strategic partnership. Okay. All right. It's a good deal for everybody. China's great. I love China. China. All right, you guys, have a great night. Callie, I appreciate you. Thank you, Dex, so much. Thank your mods. Thank you, Dex, for your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys, make sure to go over to the mods and thank them by going over to marfooglenews.com/friends. Make sure to thank Bobby Sue. Thank you, Ilea, for sticking around for most of the show. I appreciate it. Thank you again, Wages, and everybody else over on the panel. Ilea, of course, Lisa Arhall, our longest running mod, and of course, Trinity, RGL Harris, and the whole Harris, and the rest of the gang, including Chance Paladin. Thank you guys. Thank you for your support. Rocky Amherst, I believe you are the top fan tonight. Thank you so much. Farm Girl, you are number 2. Olga Turan, High Tech Computers, thank you, and thank you. We'll be heading over to the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Oh, sorry. It's now called Glory to the Red Nation, our motherland hour. Glory to, or it's not a shout out, it's not an outro, it's a glory to our land, the motherland, the Red Nation, motherland. I don't know, that's just not as catchy. I don't know if this is going to work. Signing out, new China Net Walk.